Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I have a mid-game to late mid-game Vanguard build for you. This is something I'm calling the AP build because there's two pieces of gear here you can get from the Enchanted Tower, both level 10 pieces, that boost the AP pool of your Vanguard to a crazy amount. I'm using Balin here just cuz. This works with any Vanguard. I'm using Balin just because he's so standard. If I can show it works with him, it'll work even better with other Vanguards, or at least the exact same. The spotlight key components of this build are two pieces of gear, like I mentioned. They are level 10. You get them from the Enchanted Tower, the Sign of the Swallow, and the Fomorian Hide boots. Now, because this is level 10 gear, this does place it pretty well into the mid-game, so this is going to be a huge power boost as you're moving through. Now, I'm terrible with this because I don't fully keep track of when the gear level upgrades to level 10 from 5. I do know it's story related. I'm pretty sure it does upgrade in Chapter 3 or Act 3. So once you've unlocked the level 10 gear, these should become available to you at some point. There is a chance you don't encounter them. That is just RNG, but because it is Enchanted Tower related loot, there is some level of consistency to it. So this is kind of why I'm showing this. I generally don't really do builds for stages of the game before the end game just because they're relatively narrow in comparison. So creating any builds with any sort of consistency, it's not really my thing. I figure you mostly just take whatever you can find, and that's that. But this, however, let's go into the details of why this is so strong and why I wanted to show it to you. Sign of the Swallow offers 3 different AP bonuses. Plus 1 AP, just flat at all times, plus 2 AP for your first turn, and plus 1 AP when you start your turn hidden. That's a lot. So that first turn, that extra 2 AP, very useful for getting out there, moving your Vanguard out into the field to position, setting them up for the next turn to begin backstabbing people, all that good stuff. Every turn after that, though, if you're playing smartly, your Vanguard should always end their turn in stealth, and hopefully retain that into their next turn and not get spotted by anyone on the enemy turn, which means this will give you 2 AP, more than a standard regular Vanguard, for every other turn after that. That's almost an entire extra attack. However, when you stack this with the Fomorian Hide boots, you get an additional plus 2 AP when you start your turn hidden. So you're getting plus 3 every single turn if you're playing smart, plus the 1 at base for a total of plus 4 AP on all of your turns compared to a regular Vanguard who's not taking advantage of these items. That's an entire extra attack and a tile of movement. Obviously, that's very strong, and there's a couple talents that, if you pick up, really help synergize with this a little bit extra, and that's actually the scout talents. I like to take these because I like my Vanguards being mobile, but having 2 movement AP to work with just gives you an extra buffer to position and save as much of this extra AP as possible for those extra attacks. And, of course, every Vanguard should have Finishing Blow regardless of the build. It's just a really good upgrade. So with the ability to get 1 AP back on kills, so with that AP refund, it'll really help stretch out this enlarged AP pool you have now to get even more extra attacks in, or movement, whatever it is you're trying to do. It's just crazy, crazy good. Now you'll notice over here, I'm starting to get into tier 3, and there's other abilities here that will help stack onto this even more so, like Master Assassin for another plus 1 AP if you start your turn hidden. So then we're looking at plus 4 from the hide bonus with a 5 from the flat, and then, with Vigor, 2 refund. I mean, it just stacks and stacks and stacks. It becomes extra crazy. I'm not really going to go too much into this because I want to focus on the mid-game version. You can unlock this gear around level 10. These talents you're looking at, level 15, 16, and by that point, that's what I kind of start to consider getting into the late game. As I mentioned before, these two are really the core of the build. There's a couple other things you can get to, boost it up a little bit, but they aren't necessarily mandatory, like Scout. And then there's obviously the essences that you can put onto him. I have none, just to kind of really show how strong this is, even without them. And also, I don't really main Vanguards generally, so I'm going to go ahead and do some gameplay, show you some clips of just how much AP that we're able to get with Balin, or whatever Vanguard you choose to use, and you'll see how crazy it is. Alright, for example here, I just picked a random mission. This is the Red Knight recruitment mission. We have Balin here, and we can see on our first turn, we have 11 AP and 2 yellow AP, which is just crazy. We can move to here, and on our very first turn, because we have 11 AP, 10 after the jump, we get 3 attacks in. Alright, so now, going against this group of enemies, it's our first turn again, so we're going to just stealth, we're going to move over here, and then we're going to pass. And we still have 5 AP left over. That means when we reserve, we're going to get 2 carried over to our next turn. I'm going to go ahead and do some sort of CC stuff so it doesn't mess everything up. I want to make sure they end up in good positions. I'll see you when it gets back to our turn. It's now Balin's next turn, and now we have 14 AP and 4 movement AP. If we look at the battlefield here, we can pretty much get to any spot on the map, except for this little corner over here, and still be able to get an attack in. And here, we're just barely shy. So, we move up to here, and we can just casually stroll along and pick off 3 more kills, and we still had AP left over. So I'm going to show one more clip real quick just of the amount of insane coverage he can get, and I think that'll be enough for this. Alright, this fight here, this will be a good one because we have lots of enemies far away. We have this one guy up front, but that's fine. We're just going to kind of distract him with Mordred, and we're going to use some movement AP with Balin just to move him up a little bit. And we're just going to actually pass. I'm not going to even bother moving him into position because I want to see how much ground he can cover on his next turn. Our next turn, Balin here, 15 AP. This is basically the cap you reach because you can only reserve up to 3, and then we have 12 from all of his other bonuses, plus the 4 movement AP. So we're looking at a total of 19-ish AP. The yellow AP doesn't entirely count. But with that, we look at the range we can cover. We can get all the way back to here and backstab this elite guard in the back of the map. We can get this crossbow. We can get both of these guys over here. The only ones we can't reach is this crossbow in this corner, and barely. We could reach them and still have an AP left, actually. And this crossbow all the way back here, and we'd have 2 AP. So again, just the amount of coverage we have is crazy good. So we're gonna actually go for this renegade mage here because he's a bit of a troublesome guy. So let's just clear the path for him real quick, and now we just get to here, out of backstab. So let's move there, and there you go, pesky mage dead. That AoE that was threatening our party on turn 1 is gone. And if we want, we can then move to kill this guy. We can re-stealth, reposition. We have jump still to get to a safer position, like this, and there you go. We're good. Next turn, we're going to have 2 AP reserve. We're going to have 14 AP next turn to do whatever we want with on Balin now. And that's all I have for you. Not a whole lot of gameplay to show compared to, my standard build videos, but there's not really a whole lot to really show. The main focus here is just look at all this AP you can get. I mean, you can very easily and consistently end up with 14, 15 AP, which is, like 4 or 5 attacks in a round, especially if you have the movement AP to work with to close those gaps. 4 or 5 attacks is crazy. With the kind of damage a Vanguard's doing, you'll be shredding pretty much everything. This is just bonkers, the amount of stacking AP buffs you can get in the mid-game gear like this. It's just really good. Honestly, this could probably carry you into the late game a bit, but eventually you're going to start running into stuff that just offers so much stronger damage buffs, you'll probably move away from this. But this is definitely a kind of mid-game build you can work towards a bit with some consistency and help carry you over that difficulty spike at the start of Act 4 and help you ease into reaching that level 15 gear. I hope this was helpful or useful, and I covered everything that I needed to. If you have any questions about something that maybe I forgot to bring up, go ahead and feel free to ask me in the comments, and I'll be happy to respond. If you made it all the way to the end of my video here, thank you. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one.